Hi consumers, I'm Carl, the author of Salesman's Tricks Exposed. After decades of mastering the art of persuasion in the trenches of the sales industry, I'm now here sharing those strategies to level the playing field between consumer and salesperson. My goal here is simple: to teach you the techniques and psychology strategies salespeople use to influence consumers to buy unwanted and unneeded products and services. Now, most people think great salespeople talk a lot. The truth is, the best salespeople close deals by saying less. Today, I'm going to show you the silent sales approach. Here's how it works. The salesperson presents the product, explains the value, and then gives the price. And then nothing. They stop talking. That silence, it's not accidental. It's intentional. There's an old rule in sales. The first person who speaks after the price loses. Because silence creates pressure. It makes consumers uncomfortable. And most people rush to fill that silence by talking, explaining themselves, even justifying their purchase out loud. Keep in mind, salespeople use the silent sales approach to their advantage because they are trained to understand something most consumers don't. Sales isn't about what they say. It's about what they don't say that closes deals. Salespeople already know you're interested. You wouldn't be sitting there if you didn't have a reason. Every sales pitch is carefully structured through scripts, industry buzzwords, and sales training to make their product feel like the next logical step. Remember, through the asking questions sales approach, the salesperson already revealed your pain and your expected pleasure outcome. So when the moment of silence hits, the silent sales approach, you start replaying that pain they pulled out of you, while at the same time picturing the relief their product promises. So by the time they present the price, you're no longer being sold. You're convincing yourself, and that's the real power of the silent sales approach. Now, example time. We all been in those moments, sitting through a sales presentation. You're interested, but you see red flags, and it comes time to pay. The salesperson looks at you and says, "Will that be check, cash, or credit card?" And then complete silence. Now, there's no pressure, there's no extra words, just silence. The silence is to get you thinking, justifying the red flags, convincing yourself why it makes sense. And none of that is done by accident. The silent sales tool is designed to get you to close the gap on your own. So the decision feels like it came from you, not the salesperson. The silent sales approach is also used after trial closes to force the consumers to answer positively to the salesperson questions. Example, trial close. Can you see yourself in a new car? Then silence. Now, how else would a consumer respond about buying a new car? Of course the consumer can see himself in a new car. Everyone sees himself in a new car. But does that mean it is practical or the consumer can afford it at this time? Once again, the salesperson got the consumer to say yes by asking trial close questions and by using the silent to make the consumer imagine what they think they will get out of driving a brand new shiny car. Another example, during vacation timeshare presentations. The salesperson doesn't sit you in a room and talk about the benefits of timeshare. No. They walk you around the resort for a reason. They want you to feel it before you ever hear the price. As you tour the property, they're showing you the hot spots of the resort. The pools, the waterfront views, the whole lifestyle. What the salesperson is doing is letting the resort sell itself by helping you mentally move in before you made a decision. Salespeople do this by not interrupting the consumer's thought process while they start picturing themselves vacationing with their family yearly. Silence works in this situation because they know they can't sell the consumer what they're thinking or picturing in their mind. Salespeople will let the consumer picture themselves lying on the beach and sitting poolside with their favorite drink in hand. When a salesperson are selling vacation timeshare, the silent sales approach puts the consumer in situations where they are actually selling the timeshare to themselves. At that point, all the salesperson has to do is close the deal by using trial closes, by asking questions like, can you see yourself coming here every year, vacationing with your family? Once again, we all know the answer to that, yes. But does that mean the consumer can afford the vacation timeshare, or that is worth the price the salesperson is selling it for? That is an example how salespeople will use the silent sales approach to sell consumers during pleasurable situations. Now, the silent sales approach will also be used during pain selling situations. Let's take attorneys. Yes, attorneys are salespeople. They are selling their service. And in serious cases, they'll walk you through worst case scenarios. Losing your license, paying tens of thousands of dollars in penalties, even facing jail time, then silence. And in that moment, the consumer's mind does the work for them. The consumer begins imagining those outcomes, feeling the weight of what could happen. That's the silent sales approach in action. The attorney doesn't need to be a pushy salesperson. The fear and uncertainty you're feeling starts guiding your decision. And once the attorney has you in that state, they don't need to convince you anymore. They simply ask you for the retainer fee to save you. Salespeople will use the silent sales approach for both painful and pleasurable situations. It puts consumers in a position where they begin to hear and imagine exactly what the salesperson wants. That's dangerous, because now the consumer's decision isn't being made logically. It's being driven by emotion and expectations. Consumers need to slow down and think logically about what they're actually buying, not emotionally about what they hope the product or service will give them. I want consumers to start being aware when they spot these sales tricks, especially in those quiet moments, when the pitch stops and the silence begins, because that's where the pressure happens. That's where you're subtly led to convince yourself that saying yes is the natural next step. Remember, sales professionals have an entire arsenal of sales tools on their belt. Consumers need them too. That is why I created the walk-away sales approach to counter theirs. It's simple. When in doubt, walk away. Now, if you ever dealt with pushy salespeople using these sales tools, avoided a scam, or learned a lesson the hard way, because I know I did, share it in the comments. Your experience could help someone else avoid the same mistakes. See you on the next episode. It's going to be Overcoming Objection Sales Approach.